has it tougher, the 30 million mothers who work outside the home or those moms who have decided to stay at home full time? Is one a better mother than the other, or is that an unfair question? It's your call on the so-called Mommy Wars right now. This show is dedicated to all the moms out there. First-time mothers, veteran moms, stay-at-home moms, and working mothers. Whether you are a woman who had kids early or a midlife mom who's just getting started, or if you're a career mom or a working one, this show is for you because we're asking who has it tougher and what's worked best for you. Hello everyone, it's good to have you with us. I'm Lynn Doyle. It has been called the toughest job in the world. It's also one of the most rewarding, and of course, it's one of the most satisfying. But it is also one fraught with difficulties, challenges, and quite frankly, disappointments. It is motherhood, and while for some it comes as naturally as breathing, for others, it's hard work. And speaking of work, there are more than 30 million women who are combining the work of raising children with a career. Now, there are some who think this balancing act is one of the most difficult things a person can do. But there are also an estimated 5.3 million women staying at home to raise their children, often sacrificing their own personal goals for the benefits of their family. Isolation, lack of acknowledgement for a job well done, and 24/7 mothering is said by some to be the ultimate challenge. We've brought together two women with experiences at both, and they have opinions on that and much more. We're going to be discussing with them the so-called Mommy Wars. Vicki Glimbaki is an award-winning magazine writer and the author of the memoir, The Second 9 Months, One Woman Tells the Truth About Becoming a Mom. And Terry Karen was a successful career woman who consulted on the book Women of Opus Dei in Their Own Words. She's now a married mother of 4, ages 8 to 15, 2 of whom she homeschools. And let me just say, before we ever get started, congratulations to both of you for all of the accomplishments that you have as moms working in and out of the home. Great to have you both with us. Now, I have to say right up front, I have done it all myself. I was a career mom, I was a single mom, I was a married mom who stayed at home, and now I'm a grandmom. And I have to say, it is tough no matter what you're doing to try to make everyone happy. Do you ladies feel that same way?
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Yeah.
So who do you make happy first? What's your priority?
I don't even feel, I feel like there is no priority. It's like the balls are all in the air. You have 10 balls going at one time, and if somebody throws you one extra, that's when things fall, but you can handle like 10 at once. But I don't know if there's priority. You know, the kids, you would say, but you know, it's not that cut and dried. It's not that easy.
How about you?
Well, I think, first of all, you have to understand that the marriage is the primary relationship, and the children fit into that, and they see the happiness of the parents, hopefully, and then they will experience that family life. So I think you have to put your priorities in straight. And also, it's kind of a misnomer now to say that women at home, because women are, even if they're at home primarily, they're out, they're at committee meetings, they're at the school. I mean, sometimes it's termed derogatorily executive mom, because you see that so many of these mothers who've left their professional work have come home and think that, okay, now I have to transfer those skills right to the school, right to the town.
Isn't that interesting? Because a lot of my friends and myself, when we were home with our children full time, we kind of felt like that we had to prove our worth, and devoted so much time and attention to volunteerism that we sometimes actually sacrificed the home life, and we were criticized for that.
But that's an important point, because you don't want to have your dedication go so much to the outside of the home that nothing's left for your family. Certainly, what's the point of being at home then if everything's going to be outside? So that's something that women have to consider. Are they burning the candle at both ends? And where's the priority? Where's the dedication really have to start?
Well, it's interesting, Vicki, that you use that term about juggling, because I always used to call it juggling flaming tennis balls.
Oh, no, yeah.
And it was tough whether you were at home, as I said, or if you're out there in the workforce. For a lot of women, though, unfortunately in this country, they don't have a choice. They have to be in the workforce because they are single mothers or head of households. So should we even be talking about the so-called mommy wars, or should we just be supporting women, whatever their decisions are?
Clearly we should be supporting women for whatever their decisions are. I mean, it seems so odd to me that there's this kind of there's always wars between women. There's either the stay at home, work at home, breastfeed, don't breastfeed, cry it out, don't cry it out. There's always something that there are sides to, and I've never quite understood that. But what you were saying, when my daughter was born, I was still applying all of my skills as a working woman to being a mother, and nothing was working. I was a person who could solve problems. I was a person who could take on a challenge and get it right and fix it. And here I have the 6.5-pound infant. None of that is working anymore. I thought I was the only woman on the planet who didn't have the maternal gene. Like something was seriously big time wrong with me. And part of it was an identity crisis between this woman who I used to be, who I saw myself as, and the woman that I was now. And my book is specifically about kind of figuring out who those two people are: a working mother, and a working woman and a mother. How are you both? How do you meld those things?
And you know what? There's no resource book or guideline for that until someone like Vicki writes a book and kind of shares her personal experience to give you a guideline of what to expect when you're home when you have not been home.
Well, I think one of the problems is that we assume that just because someone has moved from one particular career to the sphere of the home is that that's not professional work. The work of the home and raising a family is professional work. Not that, I'm not saying that you would run your home like a business, but look at it this way. You have the same skills, the same human virtues that you would bring in the workplace. You need to bring those home. There doesn't need to be a dichotomy between what I was before and what I am now. There should be a unity. I mean, sometimes we get to the point where we compartmentalize too much. Instead of saying, I'm a person, I have the same human virtues and maturity at work, I need to bring that home. There doesn't need to be that division. I will say that, sure, motherhood tends to be a solitary, especially in the early years, a solitary endeavor. And so some women are going to have a little bit easier time. Say someone who was a writer or a researcher or a lab person is going to probably have an easier time than someone who headed up 50 people in a sales department, because someone else might be used to having more of a solitary career. Still, though, those same virtues can transfer. And I think rather than saying it's an identity crisis, it might be a maturity crisis. Not to put down that people aren't mature, but that maybe they should integrate their lives. They can find that way to integrate.
I would say that I would disagree with you. I would say that I do think that it's an identity crisis, and I think it's unfortunate to say to women, you should be able to transfer your skills from being at work to being at home, and you should be able to do this. We should be able to do a lot of things. The reality of the situation, for me personally, was that I was unable to recognize myself. Now, I am a working mom. I work. I am that person. But in that time period and where I am now, my struggle is over that. For me, in the moment, I'm not, what I'm saying is that I feel like motherhood is talked about very often about this is how it should be and here's how you can do it and isn't this easy, but what about the reality of actually doing it?
But the reality is, too, what happens when you're at work? It's easy to say. Sometimes when we look at ourselves, perhaps it would help to say, when I'm at work and I say I'm happy at work, why? Because everything's going my way, or I'm presented with challenges, or I have people listening to me, then I'm happy. But when I'm at home, I don't get anyone listening to me except for my 2-year-old, and I have to yell and scream to get him or her to work. Can you not be happy in a different environment? And does that mean that you can only bring some virtue to work, but you can't bring it home?
Well, does it make you a bad person if you're not happy, though, and you're not fulfilled just staying home with your child? I think that was kind of the impetus behind the book, and the thing that I got from it is it's almost sinful to admit that, hey, it's not everything that it was cracked up to be, or it's not as satisfying as I had hoped.